Welcome to Legally on the Move, careers, tech and insights from Dubai. In this exclusive mini-series of the Legally Speaking podcast, we're taking you to the heart of Dubai, a global hub for legal innovation, cutting-edge technology and transformative career opportunities. Here's what you'll gain: career inspiration, unlock the secrets to thriving in Dubai's dynamic legal market, tech trends, dive into how AI, blockchain and legal tech are reshaping the industry, diversity and leadership, hear from trailblazers driving inclusivity and innovation in the UAE, and global perspectives explore how Dubai's unique blend of tradition and ambition is creating a thriving legal ecosystem. Recorded in iconic locations, these episodes bring you the energy and insights of one of the world's most exciting legal hubs. Don't just listen, experience the future of law. Ready to move forward with us? Let's go. So, welcome to the Legally Speaking podcast. Name, title and organisation.
Thank you for having me. Sophie Best. I actually wear two hats. I am a legal consultant for Jameson Legal Tech, and I'm also CEO of Knowledge Nexus, my own legal training company.
Yes, and very active on LinkedIn, as we were just discussing, doing some great work there. Pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you for
so
having me.
Let's get into it. What are the challenges and opportunities you see accelerating legal tech adoption in Dubai's corporate and legal spaces?
So I think years ago it was a bit of a, Dubai wasn't really ready for it.
Yeah.
Because of the fast pace of business. Everyone's coming here. It's on LinkedIn. You see all the companies are opening offices. Everyone's running an event. Things are just full throttle, 500 miles an hour. And because of that, teams are growing. Legal teams internally, they're not just two people now. We've seen people grow from two. I was speaking to an in-house team recently. They've gone from 2 to 14. They're going to go up another 7.
Wow.
And with that brings challenges. You've got, how do you manage people? How do you manage workflow? You can't do all this on your own. The other thing is, as business is growing, people are doing more contracting. There's more actual work happening. And, that means that you actually can't always just throw people at it. So I think the tech industry is booming because of the need, but also because AI and tech is so big now. The government have made a pledge, I think, to train 1 million people on AI.
Wow.
In the next year. It's crazy.
That is insane. So let's talk about AI then, and this sort of changing landscape, because it is reshaping the legal world. You can't deny that. But how can lawyers and law firms in Dubai best prepare for basically the next generation of work, or the future of work, whatever you want to call it?
So I think the first thing is that you've got to be prepared to change. I always say you've got to kind of adapt and evolve. And gone is the time of, do I do this? It's a case of, what do I do? Not when. And companies will get left behind. I say this, and this will probably be one of my kind of buzzwords on the panel later. No one wants to be a Kodak. Anyone remember them? And I felt my age, actually, because I asked an intern and they were like, I don't know what Kodak is. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And, that's going to happen. There are going to be many Kodaks, because if you don't get on board with it, it's not even legal. Think of companies. ADNOC have made a big, buzz, media-wise about being more AI focused. So, you need to do it. And now is the time, because the future of law is tech. I'm sorry, lawyering has changed. Back in the day, I used to sit with lawyers in the M&A world, reviewing boxes of documents for due diligence, getting things ready for a sale or a divestment or a fundraise. No one is going to do that now. No lawyer is going to come out of school and want to do that. So you have to. It's just, and for a lot of us that maybe don't like change, we just have to accept that. And the hierarchy of a lawyer is going to change. It's not going to be a case of just do the grunt work. We're going to see a complete flip it on his head style evolution, I think, in law.
And we will. And look, the only constant is change in business, right? And I feel like with all of this, like you say, you've got to have a growth mindset. You've got to be prepared to adopt it. But to be fair, the statistics are encouraging if you look at AI adoption versus cloud adoption within legal. So fingers crossed that people get on board. And hopefully what you're sharing today, it'll inspire people to learn more. But let's talk more about Knowledge Nexus. So with that, obviously, you aim to transform professional development and collaboration in Dubai's legal tech community. How?
So it's an interesting one. I think, and I know lots of companies won't like me saying this, but it's a very saturated world. There's lots of legal tech companies. Everyone's out here. And actually, there's really great ones. I mean, Clio as one is a great one.
We have a fancy Clio.
And the problem is that a lot of people out there just don't know where to go now. It's so saturated. There's so much out there. They know they need to get on board with this, but what do we do? And not even just tech, I'm talking everything. The evolution of legal, and for me, there's a real big problem because people go to school, law school, and they learn the letter of the law.
Yeah.
And they learn how to do a contract. They learn what data privacy is, but they don't learn how to put it in practice. So I was sat with a GC recently, and one of her junior lawyers was saying about a contract and a data privacy clause, and a supplier contract got held up because of it. But there was no data going to that supplier. It was for something that was a certain cycle of the flow. So actually, it was kind of a bit of a moot point.
Yeah.
But that comes with practice. That lawyer is probably panicking. If I sign off on this contract, data privacy, we're going to get we're going to get a slap on the wrist or worse.
Yeah.
When you need to know when things, data privacy is never not important. Don't quote me on that. But when does it become more of a problem? And you don't, nowadays what lawyers need are real life training. How to deal with difficult scenarios, a risk crisis management type thing. Yes, there is a legality to it and it's a legal problem, but it's not just about the law. It's about how do you keep a business running? And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to kind of, change the game in a way of get these people in rooms together, get them on round tables, get them in events. How did you deal with this? I mean, I had the GC of CAFU kind of talking to me about how, they have to look at things that get posted that are, fakes, for example. Anyone can Photoshop something. That provides a brand problem.
Yeah, true.
No one really trains you on this.
Yeah, you kind of have to figure it out as you go away or as the situation happens. But one thing I think you're great at is bringing people together, community events, and as you mentioned, you're moderating one today. But what has been your most impactful strategy for fostering stakeholder buy-in, in particular for legal tech solutions?
So this is a really interesting one. I actually think legal tech at some point should not be called legal tech. I think it needs a rebrand.
Okay.
And
to what?
I don't know yet, and I feel like once I've known, hopefully I'll make my millions. But I think the problem is that to get buy-in, you need to go wider than legal. Because if you go to your CFO or the board and say, we're going to make legal more efficient, they're just going to cut your head count. No lawyer needs that, no general counsel needs that, no managing partner of a law firm needs that. You need to go wider. So for an in-house team, you need buy-in of other components of the business. So if you're looking at contract technology, who's doing contracts? Is it HR? Is it sales? Probably. Yeah. And think about it as a company. If you're trying to get budget for tech and adoption, a CFO cares about things that are way different to you as a lawyer. So if you can go to the CFO and say, do you know what? I found out a way to stop that hold of revenue where it gets stuck in contracting, and you're going to hit your quarterly targets. That CFO is going to be flying out the room.
Yeah.
And because we're giving it to them in a business speak, we're speaking to them in the language of the business.
Yeah.
We're speaking to them about things that matter. So the best adoptions have gone well when that's happened. So getting them involved early on, getting stakeholders in, because the other thing you have to think about is anyone can bring in a technology that's game changing, but if no one uses it, what's the point?
Yeah. And it's so true, isn't it? Adoption, act early. I massively advocate for that. I've seen
and
that.
Mindset.
Yeah, you've got to shift the cultural mindset to say this is tech for good. I always try to use that scenario, tech for good, to help you get smarter, faster, more efficient, whatever it be. Okay, before I let you go, as someone who is deeply involved in education, how can Dubai's next generation of legal professionals be empowered to embrace this innovation revolution?
So this is one that's very close to my heart. I mean, part of creating, Knowledge Nexus was my passion for the future legal leaders of the world, as I call it. I'm lucky enough to work with about 3 or 4 interns who, most of them are at Middlesex Uni, and they are brilliant people. Honestly, I feel like they put me to shame sometimes. Reverse learning is a thing, and I'm learning that.
100%.
Mainly that I'm really not creative, so Canva, they're teaching me new things every day. They're bright, they're switched on, and they're hungry to learn. And actually, they want to learn about tech, they want to learn about AI. So the big thing here is to not scare them with it, because they are a bit conscious of what does it mean. And the reason that they're conscious of what does it mean is because their law degree isn't teaching them that. So they're worried that they're learning the law, but that when they come to an interview, they're saying to me, like, Sophie, but how do we prepare for this? So we need to give back to them. As lawyers need to help them. We need to fully embrace it. We need to show them that we're not scared and that we're adopting it. And for them, the one biggest thing of advice I give them, the ones that I'm working with, is you need to still learn. Don't think of AI as, let's just use this as a ChatGPT style, write me a memo. So I say to my interns, if you're going to use ChatGPT for something, ask it why. Ask it for reasoning. Ask it questions, not just to do something. And try and kind of take in why something's come out. Because that way you're still going to learn. Yeah. Because the problem that they have is if they rely on it too much, they're never going to learn.
Yeah.
And that's really important, both from their aspect, but also from us teaching them. And that's going to shape the next generation for sure. But it's exciting because a junior lawyer now is not going to have to do the grunt work that we did. Yeah. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I always reference my late grandfather ran his own law firm in the 1950s, the box of files and all of the documents.
Sat in a dark room.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to change. And I think you make a great point about being curious, that why curiosity gene. I always talk a lot to that. And equally, learn, you drop the L, spells earn, so you have to learn before you earn. This has been an absolute blockbuster. Really enjoyed chatting with you, Sophie. If our listeners, which I'm sure they do, and watchers want to know more about you or get in touch, what's the best place for them to get in touch? Feel free to check out any websites, any social media handles.
I am very active on LinkedIn. I ramble daily, so that's probably the best one.
There we go. Go and check it out there. Well, from all of us on the Legal Speaking Podcast, thanks so much for joining me today in Dubai, and wishing you best of luck for the moderation of your panel a little bit later on. But for now, over and out.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of our Legally on the Move from Dubai series. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a moment to rate and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out. And if you want to connect with us directly, join our vibrant Legally Speaking Club community on Discord, or visit our official website, legallyspeakingpodcast.com, for more updates and ways to get involved. Stay tuned. We'll see you again soon. Over and out.